Yate. Yate. Good morning. I can't see most of you, so Yate Shadaneeshik S. All of my relatives and my friends. Kia ani nishle. Do belagana bashischin deschini deshache do belagana deshanale. She Amber Kanazbah Crotty Yanishia. Tohat soy denatsha. And so I come from Sheep Springs on the foothills of the Chushkai Mountain on the beautiful Navajo Nation. And I want to thank the Agua Caliente band of Cahuilla Indians for allowing us to be here on their ancestral land while we enjoy their water and their beautiful moisture. They have shared a part of not only who they are as a people, but their land and our ability to heal as we step together and come together in some very difficult, challenging conversations that create a vulnerability within all of us to not only share with each other and strangers. This ancestral land now is healing us in our journey to recovery, and every day as we're renewed with the sun coming up and placing those prayers, we know that our prayers will be answered, our healing will continue, and our people will thrive. And so moving from the victimization and that terror and agony to a people that are brave, that are courageous, and have the ability to work together and do it on behalf of our children. And so I think it's very appropriate for me to express my gratitude for all of you being here, for the organizers who I know that this takes many, many different hands, many, many different players. But to allow this space for our healing is truly admirable. And I believe as Native nations, we need to continue to make sure that this conference continues to be funded at a federal level, because as every year it grows and grows, we can see how much is needed, not only in our home communities, but together as relatives and across Indigenous communities. And so as I start today in looking at the theme of braiding strength, hope, and a healing to the path forward, I had to reflect on who I am as a Navajo woman. So for myself, as introduced, and it's always weird to have a picture of yourself on the screen, but I'm trying to get used to it. And I realized that this was taken about 4 years ago, so I have a little bit more feathers in my hair of my gray streaks, but we do it for the people. And as chairwoman of the first Sexual Assault Prevention Subcommittee, it sheds light on how we're having serious conversations on Navajo Nation regarding the plight of our children who are most likely to be the victims of sexual assault, and then the deafening silence in our community to not only address that pain, but then to actively move forward in a healing fashion to protect our children and then to make sure that we create safe communities for them. And if that means exposing our families and our community members, then that's the courage that we need as leadership. And so, thank you. So this is my beautiful mountain of the Chushkai. It's a male mountain on our Navajo Nation. It provides strength, protection, stability for all of the Navajo in the area and beyond. It's an area where you can look and see where our first man and our first woman journeyed through our narrative and came to our current, the Neta, and it is placed there by our holy ones for the protection, and it provides the moisture, the herbs for healing, the livestock for nutrition, and then for the people to live in harmony with each other. It also reflects a place of where our warriors once were collecting together to look at the enemy and to strategize on how to protect the people. And so in that dichotomy is what we look at. How do we restore balance, but then how do we gather together as warriors to protect and make sure that our children and our people are safe? And so that is the theme of what we're trying to do. Sometimes an individual, including myself, who's a survivor of not only horrendous sexual assault, but years of just feeling that we were not worthy, not enough of this, not enough of that. But now how we can come together and have political agency or have the individual strength to be part of the solution. So it's not looking just to our federal partners or not looking just to elected tribal leadership, but looking to ourselves how we can be the solution. And so when we look at protecting our people, we ask that community members engage to teach and to guide us, to give us that historical context so that the grandmas and the grandpas can provide a space in terms of solution, and also they can give us back that journey narrative, that ceremonial knowledge that we need to incorporate into anything that we have in terms of problem solving for our community members. This was the first time Navajo Nation participated in the Human Trafficking Awareness Month in January. It was a cold day in Window Rock, freezing. But we had members out there who walked up to our council chamber to be the voice of the voiceless, to let them know that human trafficking was not just a mainstream problem, but a problem that was occurring on Navajo. And it was a problem that not an outsider was inflicting pain on our people, but it was our people hurting each other, relative on relative violence. And sometimes that's the hardest conversation to have. That's the hardest thing to acknowledge, that as a people, we have come to a point where we're hurting and inflicting pain on each other. And so how do we reach inside our gut, inside of who we are, to bring in the seeds of recovery, of healing, and moving forward in a positive way? And so we always reach back to our elders. And the elder is not that perfect, idealized, romanticized notion of the all-knowing elder, but it's an elder who has life experience and challenges, had the ability to see that through our prayer and through steady relationship building that we can carry on, that we can move forward in a very positive way. And now as science is finally catching up to Grandma's teaching, right? Grandma always had these teachings. When you mention that I graduated from UCLA, I think about the student loan I had to pay. And then I thought about how much I should be paying my grandmother, because what I knew coming into that institution was just reinforced how much the outside world didn't know about us. So hopefully I'll get a check back from UCLA. But it's our stories, it's our language, it's our teachings that will continue to heal us. And what we look to our federal partners and why it's important they're here is to hear that it's not about evidence-based research or who has a PhD or what university you went to. It's about what works for the people and to respect that generational knowledge that works best for that time, that space, those people. Because as a Navajo woman, my teachings may differ, my knowledge may differ, but those specific prayers and ceremonies were put in place for myself, for my children, for my great-great-great-grandchildren. And those teachings and values matter, and they matter to us, and that's why we're here today. I always like to tell the youth and all of the adults in the room that we are the prayers of our grandparents. We are the prayers of great-grandma who survived that long walk, who survived that trauma, because she had the foresight to know that we would be here. She didn't know our name, but she put in those blessings for us. She put in that instruction for us. And so nothing is a mistake. You're not here out of just pure coincidence. You're here with a purpose, and you're here with that warrior heart and blood and knowledge, and nobody can take that away from you. No individual can give you, because that's your blessing. And so on Navajo, we have a wellness model that we're developing, and we're getting our stamps of approval from our federal partners at IHS. But we know what we know, and I just wanted to share a little bit in terms of how we're integrating Navajo teachings, Navajo values, how to approach our daily life, and what does that look like in the Navajo sense of the world. And so for us, it's to go back to that Hogan, to go back into Mother Earth, the womb, with the teachings that are grounded in there, the teachings that will show you the way in the right direction to think, how to put your prayers into place, into motion, how to get that resiliency from the fireplace. And it's not something that's rocket science. It's what the mountain provides for us. We can go up to the wood and we can chop down the trees. We can make our hogan. We can put it in Mother Earth, dirt. We can build that fire. We can come together and we can have our herbs that are there, our sacred stones that are in place. And it doesn't take a fancy facility. It doesn't take federal regulations, but we can do this ourselves for our children. And that knowledge, because of the language barrier, is being able and open to have that. And that's part of the healing process. To understand as myself that struggle with my own language, that we can learn these cultural teachings and we can incorporate them into everything that we do. There was once a time where I felt that some of these teachings may be too archaic for our modern way of life. How is Facebook gonna say this in Navajo? So Facebook caught up, and so now we have Navajo memes and Navajo videos, and so now we have a whole revolution. We have a bunch of Navajo young professionals. I'm kind of at the scale. I'm 40 with children, so I'm not that cool to be on Snapchat. But I think it's the value in knowing that there's this renaissance within all of us. Whether you're an elder recapturing your language and your community, coming back home from retiring because you were in the border towns or you had to go work, or you're a survivor of assault at a boarding school, or now that you're just in this mainstream world in an urban area, there's still that value and still that connection. For every Navajo in the room, if you don't know, we're connected through our belly button, and we have this invisible cord all the way to our sacred mountain. And every day, that's why we give our offering, so that we know that mountain knows who we are as a person. So when the wind came through us and created our fingerprints, they know who we are as a five-finger person. And so when we introduced ourselves as clan relations, it's not just a formality. It's creating that connection with each other. And so in this modern world where we're fast to get on Twitter, and we know how Twitter can destroy lives, we know how cyberbullying can impact an individual, but we also can then say, slow down and take a breath. Slow down and know that you're doing your best. Slow down and know that you're part of the healing process. And as we think of all of those that we lost, that we're grieving, to recognize that grief and to be gentle and kinder with each other, to use words of healing, and then to hear our breath and connect ourselves with the earth. As I end this, I want to thank Miss Painted Horses? Huh? Pretty Paint. Sorry, Shema. You inspired me to change this conversation. I came in with a whole different idea of what I was going to say. But then I asked the holy ones, give me the words and the knowledge that I need to touch the hearts here today. How can we then, as we travel and go to our homes, our ancestral areas, what's needed here? And so I needed to hear those words. And so I had Shema, my mother, for providing that guidance. And so as advocates together in the work and the journey that we do as professionals, breathe and give yourself that time just to reflect on who you are. That value of think about it, plan it, put it in place into action, and then at the end, reflect upon it on Sihasin. And for all sake, love yourself. Talk to yourself as you would your best friend. Talk to your children in your community and let them know how precious they are. Because although you fear what might happen or what they may grow into, with your guidance, with your healing, they will become the people and the adults that they need to be. And remember that not all of our children have the homes that they need. And so extend that relative teachings to them. Let them know that you love them. And so as I end today, I want to make sure that we all know that you are loved, you're cherished, you're cared about, you matter, and most importantly, you're enough. And you showed up today. And I appreciate all of you, and I appreciate this opportunity just to give the blessing and bestow the prayers of healing to all of you. We're grieving here today. I lost my grandmother this summer. And anybody who lost a mother knows the challenges that you face trying to move on. And I asked her, while we knew we were going to lose her, what do I do without you? She said, Sha'awet, grab my hand. I'm here. I'm here with you. And so know that you're never alone, and you're here with your ancestors, and you're here with the people. Although they may be gone, when you breathe in that air, they're part of that element. They're still part of life, and respect them. Ahyahat. Thank you very much.